Hey, what's going on, peoples? This is your man, Derek Terry, host of I'm Not Complaining, I'm Just Saying, where if you're going to complain, bring some solutions to the table. Yes, if you saw episode 4, I'm wearing the same thing I wore in episode 5. That's because I had 2 interviews scheduled and I didn't feel like changing. So, with that, welcome to episode 5 of I'm Not Complaining, I'm Just Saying, where my special guest is going to be Carlos Childs, who is running for Charles County Commissioner for District 3, the district in which I live in. And like I've told everyone before, I've sent out emails to every registered candidate. Some have agreed to be on, some have not agreed to be on. Some just haven't responded, which is fine. But if you still would like to be on, let me know. And as soon as possible. April's booked up, so I don't have any openings for April, but I'll be putting out the May availability by next week. In addition, none of my guests pay, particularly my candidates. They don't pay for these interviews or anything like that. I don't charge a fee. And I promote local businesses and nonprofits who may want to advertise. This is just my way of giving back to the community and ensuring, regardless of the political affiliation or what I feel towards their issues, that the candidate is ready to bring solutions to the table and speak about their platform. All the interviews will be based on their platform or anything directly related to the campaign. I don't ask gotcha questions. I research every candidate and I will not 100% agree with any candidate, but I will 100% agree to disagree. So with that said, we're going to bring in Carlos Childs, who is running for Charles County Board of Commissioner District 3. So welcome, Carlos. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. So glad to be here with you, Derek.
All right. So for those who don't know, once again, Carlos is running for Charles County Board of Commissioners, District 3, district in which I live in. And like all interviews, I take them all seriously, but I specifically take this one a little bit more seriously because this is my district. And
Hometown.
and I won't go into great detail, but if I elect someone from my district, I expect them to at least be accessible, answer questions, whether we agree or disagree. So and so I definitely appreciate your time. All
Oh
right.
yeah, no problem at all.
All right, so we're gonna get straight into it. So before we get into the campaign, tell us about Carlos Childs, the person, not the candidate, but Carlos Childs, the person, because I know the first thing they're gonna say, this young cat who is the like he just graduated. So tell
Right.
us about Carlos.
Yes, definitely, definitely. Well, I'll start with actually, I graduated a while ago, so I'll push it back a little bit. Graduated from North Point High School in 2015, and actually from there, I went to the Culinary Institute of Virginia for my degree in culinary arts. I have my associate's degree, and I thought my whole life was planned out. I was gonna be a chef in multiple restaurants, maybe even open a restaurant within the DMV area. That whole mindset changed around 2017. I started getting involved in politics on like more of a national scale. And then actually, when I was working at a restaurant in Alexandria, I met my first supervisor there working for a state senator's reelection campaign in Virginia. And that kind of sparked my whole like interest in the more localized politics because, you know, everyone's focused on like president, Congress, Senate, all of that. And it really kind of honed in my focus to more of like how local politics affects people, how you have like even issues down to like streets, like street lights, having sidewalks, having bike lanes, like in major cities like Alexandria. So it really kind of made me think about, all right, well, what's in my own area now? So from that, I actually worked at the Maryland General Assembly for 2 delegates during the 2020 session. So that kind of ended quickly because of COVID going on. But from then, I went to work for Our Revolution Maryland, which is a progressive advocacy organization here, started out by like the Bernie Sanders movement and progressive policies like that. Went to doing that for a while. We advocated on housing issues, healthcare issues, and things like that. It's really one of my like favorite jobs I've ever had so far. From that, I went to actually starting a chapter here in Southern Maryland called Our Revolution Southern Maryland. We've done multiple advocacy campaigns. We've had town halls about economic justice in Charles County, about economic disparities, environmental rights, as far as cleaning up the bay and just doing different tree planting projects. We've done projects with the Sierra Club, but one of the other things I'm most proud of is organizing a tenant canvas. So right when the federal eviction moratorium ended, myself with Our Revolution Southern Maryland, a few other advocacy organizations, we got together and we printed out federal ERAP applications for people to get housing funds to help them, as well as tenant rights information, contact information for free legal aid and things like that. And we went out and knocked on doors of tenants in apartment complexes and said, "Hey, if you need help, here's a ERAP packet, so you can apply for funding. You can contact if anything happens as far as eviction. You know your rights. You can contact free legal aid and things like that." And really doing all of that really helped me also notice like people are not being met where they are. You have a lot of people in Charles County, but specifically in Waldorf, who one don't understand that or don't realize Waldorf is the fourth largest city in the state. One, but two, do not realize how many resources are actually out there for people to actually take. So that was my big thing, is just really getting out there and connecting with the people. But we'll save that for
Okay.
the candidate
All right.
side.
All right. So let's take a quick break and be right back. All right. So we're back. I had technical difficulty. So uh, you touched on a lot of things, and regardless, not only to you, but to some of your platform. So before we really get into your platform, as not only as a candidate, but as a voter, how important is it to have an elected official, or even someone running for office, accessible?
Oh, I would say that is like over half percentage of what elected officials or people running for office should do. I mean, you have a lot of people in Charles County, and I've been knocking doors. I'm happy to say our campaign has knocked almost around 4,000 doors so far since we started.
Wow.
You have people who honestly don't know who their commissioner is and still think that the commissioners are a bunch of older white men still. So that shows you there is no kind of connection with elected officials.
People thought
And
that for real?
yes, it is people
Wow.
out there who said, "I'm so glad like a young black man is running because I'm tired of these old white men
Well,
running Charles County."
well, that kind of tells me that, and I'm not being racial, that kind of tells me they weren't voting to begin with. Because if they were voting, they would know that changed a long time ago. So, I'm sitting there
No,
like,
I get you.
I said, when's the last time you voted?
I think it's I think it's a mix. I think so many people for years in Charles County have been voting just off of someone's name who they heard. They heard this commissioner's name, they heard this person's name. I saw a sign, so I voted for them. I think what my campaign is really focusing on is I don't want you to vote for Carlos Childs just because you saw my name on a sign or you heard someone talk about me. I want when you vote for Carlos Childs, I want you to think I'm voting for him because I know he is going to fight for X, Y, and Z, public hospital, a indoor outdoor sports complex, and things like that. So accessibility is everything.
Okay. So speaking of Carlos Childs, we're going to bring up your website.
Awesome, awesome.
So, and as you can see, he's a progressive Democrat. Now, I guess in a minute, what is a progressive Democrat? And the reason I say that, I know what it is. It's not a bad thing. It's not a good thing. It's just like progressive Democrat.
Yeah.
What does a progressive Democrat mean to someone who doesn't know what a progressive Democrat is?
Yeah, well, I'll say my definition of a progressive Democrat is a Democrat who does not want to just focus on fixing problems on a small marginal scale. We want to address the root causes of a problem, as far as like the root causes of healthcare, having actual healthcare facilities and not just putting up urgent cares throughout the whole city of Waldorf or throughout the county. Fixing things at the root of the problem so we do not continue to have the same problems rather than putting band-aids on situations.
Okay. So what we're going to do, I'm going to go into your platform. And like I said, we're not going to get to everything.
Oh, of course.
But you did mention healthcare. Now, in terms of healthcare, and we're talking about from Charles County specific, one of the things you focus on is with our number of residents, we only have one hospital, which is located in La Plata, I believe. I forgot what it's called now.
Charles Regional.
Yeah,
Medical
Charles
Center.
Regional. So, why do you feel the need to have another hospital in this area based on the amount of residents?
Yeah, well, you actually hit on it when you started the question. We have over 160,000 residents in Charles County, and Waldorf, which is the largest city in the county with around 86,000 residents, we're also the fourth largest city in the whole state of Maryland, and we are not able to service all of the healthcare needs within the whole county, but especially within Waldorf with just one hospital within the whole county. And you've seen a kind of like put up of just urgent care facilities throughout Waldorf as if that is meeting people's needs where they are. And we've seen with COVID, your distance between your residence in a hospital or your job in a hospital is literally life and death for a lot of people. And also, you would be able to have more high paying jobs, so less people have to go out of the county. You having a hospital here fixes a multitude of different issues from the economic side, having jobs and things like that in healthcare.
Now the question is, how do you propose we pay for that? Considering we have, what is it, MedStar and all the other things. We also have the hospital in PG, I believe it's in Fort Washington. So we have hospitals that are within the distance. And I'm guessing this is a long-term plan, not a short-term.
Oh, yeah.
And, how do you propose that, briefly that we would pay for something like this, or even get the backing to even have it considered for talks in a committee?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think, well, one, I am totally open to working with state and federal partners to get as many grants as we can. Having town forums, having town halls, where we bring on our our state and federal office holders, bring them in and let residents tell them why we need another hospital and the need for it. Working with different nonprofits for help as well. But another thing I'll say is looking at the hospital as not just something, oh, how do we pay for it? Look at all of the advantages that come with it, like creating sustainable jobs, like in the construction, the building process, having union jobs and focusing those jobs on Charles County residents. So it pays for itself in the long run as well.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely see your point. I'm just playing devil's advocate, meaning that I'm not gonna say it's a wish list, but it's more like, okay, this is not going to happen anytime soon. I need something that's going to be addressed. And because we're a self-gratification type of people where, okay, I need to see it right now.
Yeah.
But, I can definitely see where in the long term, it would be beneficial. And, having those discussions could help. So next we go into housing. Man, I'm trying to figure out how to address this one. I'll say it's someone that pays almost $7,000 a year in property tax. I don't see where that's going to drop anytime soon, unless the current commissioners lower the property tax rate. But by doing that, you decrease overall funds because we right now don't have the commercial tax base to address this. So what is one of the underlying issues when it comes to housing in Charles County?
Definitely. I'll actually take that into two parts. The first part, I'll actually answer the first part of your question about the property taxes. I think you're definitely right. We do not have the commercial tax base to currently just fund a majority of what goes on. And I think the problem is you do not have one high-paying jobs in the area, so you're having residents have to leave the county. Over 70% of Charles County residents leave the county each weekday to go to work. So you don't have people going to businesses during the lunchtime hours. So you have businesses that just don't have any tax revenue. going through it as one. But as far as the biggest housing issue in Charles County, I would say the overdevelopment of $500,000 single family homes is definitely a major problem in Charles County. When you have residents who live in tent communities. There's one behind Walmart. There's one behind the Sakura Japanese Steakhouse in Waldorf.
Yeah, the old shoppers, I believe. Yeah.
Yep. Who work full time in Charles County. These people have jobs, but they are unable to afford rent because rent prices are increasing. You have rent prices that are like $1,500-$1,600 for a one bedroom in Waldorf, which there aren't many jobs that'll allow you to afford that and afford all the other things that you need to survive. So putting in a countywide rent stabilization program, something to make sure that rent is increasing with other metrics as far as mortgage rates, as far as taxes and things like that. So you don't have landlords who come around and say, you know what, I'm gonna increase your rent $250 this year with no kind of justification for it.
Okay. Public infrastructure, and putting this plug out to my frat brother because he always debated me when it came to Waldorf being the large. Well, I didn't say the largest. I believe it was the second largest, but I'm not sure if they count St. Charles and all that. But I say either way, we in the top 5.
Oh, definitely.
Waldorf.
Top 4
and
now.
When we do, and I agree, when we look at the public infrastructure, like I told you, I pay $7,000 some odd dollars. There is nothing to show for it whatsoever. And I'm gonna show something real quick, but I'm gonna just to let people know. And the top 10 largest cities have some sort of a sports complex.
Yep.
And don't get me into municipalities, which is something totally different. So the question is, how do you? And it really comes down to funding. You know, if elected commissioner, how would you restructure the public infrastructure when it comes to how we allocate those funds for projects such as this?
Yeah.
Whether it's an indoor, outdoor, tennis court, track, whatever.
Yeah. The recreational part, yeah, definitely. Focusing on whenever the projects are doled out, definitely making sure that we have stipulations on how many residents you have to have with signed or not signed on, but hired a part of these contracts, making sure that there's a unionization with these jobs, making sure that there are that we are helping the residents out as well and increasing in projects can't just have a kind of like, yes, we're building the sports complex. We also have to help the community residents as far as jobs and pay and things like that. So we're actually getting double benefits from this. I would say structuring it so that people creating more of a community environment. And when you create things like a sports complex, creating more sidewalks, bike lanes, expanding Van Gogh services, what you have is not just more people within the county staying in the community, spending our own tax dollars here. You also are going to have people from the surrounding areas coming into our county as well, spending money. So we are increasing our tax revenue through different means.
But the question now, have you posed any of this to the current government or administration in regards, okay, why can't we pay for this? Or like when I look at an outdoor basketball court, for instance, it doesn't cost that expensive. Much. It's not that expensive. No. And I've always told them, I said, well, it's some people say, well, we don't want to bring in certain elements. So what you're saying, you just don't want to bring in Black folks? Well, yeah. What is it? And my thing is, if you're so concerned about crime, build the basketball courts near a police station. I guarantee nobody with a warrant will show up to play ball. And no, I guarantee
right.
You. So I mean, that's a very easy fix.
Thank you. You build a public park with outdoor basketball, tennis courts, all that. Have like some security walking around and checking things. Hey, like that. I mean, it doesn't make sense. Have I proposed it to the commissioners? Yes. One thing I'll say is, you'll be very hard pressed to find commissioners who actually engage and have meetings with their constituents or even care what their constituents think about.
Yeah. So, and what I wanted to bring up, because we talk about the sports complexes, that's really been a hot topic for years, even when I ran as Board of Education candidate, because I was shocked that we had no such thing here. Now, let me stop sharing the screen, and then I got to reshare the screen. So, here it is. So, this right here, the lack of larger and more modernized sports multi-complex for our youth. This is something that I actually presented, without going into great detail, to our current commissioner, and never got any feedback.
Not surprised on that one.
Now, the Capitol Clubhouse is approximately 90,000 square feet. And believe me, I did my homework. Because one, I used to coach college ball. So, and then my son played AU. So I'm familiar with facilities and how much they run. My wife, she's, an AD. So I kind of know what it would cost and what and things like that. So you look at it, you have a 17,000 square foot ice rink. Can you tell me how many people in Charles County use this ice rink? I don't know too many. Now I know St. Mary's, Calvert, and all, they use it. When I look at it, we have a facility that's in Charles County that's not being used by Charles County residents because remember, we have a majority count.
Well, I wouldn't even say a minority majority. We have a majority Black residents in the county. Like that's
when you look at Waldorf, it's a majority.
Oh, Charles County too. The whole county.
Charles.
Waldorf specifically. Waldorf. Oh, yes, Waldorf. we are a super majority here.
So if I'm in Waldorf, I'm not saying I don't like ice skating, but I don't like ice skating. So I get you. So my thing is, how's this benefiting? And you have a fitness cooking area in there, an office space, meaning 37,000 square foot gym area, and that gym floor is horrible.
Yeah.
The new rims they put in are at best cheap. This is cheap. I'll be honest with you. And it's nothing's going to attract any AAU team to really have a major tournament. Yeah. But when I've been to some of these other facilities, it costs you about $6,000 to $10,000 for one of those portable basketball courts. Resurface the existing floor. That literally can be done probably for $500,000. Just for new floor and all that. And for whatever reason, and when I get into the multi-generational center, those renovations would allow the seniors and youth to engage in fitness and health. They could actually use that. But instead, we got a multi-generational center that costs about $4 million.
Makes no sense.
It's only 30,000 square feet compared to 90,000 square feet. And when we talk about the homeless issues, you could have converted, if you're going to pay $4 million, then we could have converted it to, permanent offices, nonprofit, whatever. Yep. And when you look, this is kind of what I was talking about earlier. These are things that it could have been used for and still could be used for.
Yeah, you're right.
Because that multi-generational center is not going to generate any type of profit whatsoever. Operating costs are just too much. But you had mentioned it before. Charles County leadership provided a Band-Aid solution. Now, this is my thing. You running as commissioner for District 3. Mm-hmm. What do you see thus far some of the Band-Aid solutions, particularly when it comes to assisting our Black youth?
Yeah, I've seen
the facilities.
Yeah, I see. Like you said, that multi-generational complex that they have right near Post Office Road. That's a Band-Aid solution. Not offering I would say the county has a problem either offering small Band-Aid solutions or just not offering anything at all and kind of acting like let's just ignore it until it goes away. And I'll even say back going back to your point about the Capitol Clubhouse, a lot of residents don't even really know that much about Capitol Clubhouse either. Like all the stuff that you had in this at the share screen, a lot of people probably couldn't even tell you outside of an ice skating ring and a gym that they have anything there. It's hidden all the way in the back of the shopping district complex as well and everything. So yeah, definitely, I would say having more of a at the root solutions for youth, having some summer youth working programs, having something for youth to do in career readiness programs. I mean, when we look at Prince George's County and all of the things that they offer for their residents, especially for youth, And we look at Charles County, it's like, it's like living in two different generations.
Yeah, and they're building, actually, they're building a new facility. I want to say it's near, off of 301, near the Wawa, somewhere between Central Avenue, southbound. Because I saw the thing. They're building another type of sports complex.
Yeah.
Something.
And the sad thing is here. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Which means but then the other thing, and I guess this is my question to you. It just baffles me why they would not invest in the capital. Why it doesn't baffle me? I know why. And I must be perfectly blunt. I don't know who's making the decision. I'm not going to point out one particular commissioner in particular, but when you have a Capitol Clubhouse, people are looking for a sports complex. Why not invest in that? Use our tax dollars to turn that into a multi-purpose, multi-complex. Take out the ice rink, because guess what? We're talking about what we need, not what St. Mary's and Calvert needs. Nothing against them personally, but I care less.
Yeah, this is Charles County.
Yeah, this is just Charles County. It's Waldorf. But yet, they won't do anything. I'm saying if you could spend $4 million on an overpriced sport and health, I don't understand why you couldn't spend $500,000 to renovate and get, or maybe $1 million most, to renovate something that people would use. It would promote more business for the restaurants in the area, the hotel. That I don't get. So my thing is
a whole lot of problems. Yeah,
it's the willingness to listen. And if you're elected, this is what you're running on. You're going to get it. How do you get other people on board?
I think by doing what I've been doing so far, going out, knocking on doors, talking to residents, using social media, doing podcasts like yours, doing podcasts like the previous ones I've done. I mean, it's so many ways to actually communicate with people. I think the problem is for generations. We've had leaders and elected officials, I hesitate to even call them leaders, who really do not care about getting people interested. And I think they have had a kind of a sense of, we do not want people interested in what goes on and to advocate, because then they actually have to be held accountable.
Or they get caught up in their feelings because you disagree. And I'm like, come on.
Yeah.
I said,
you see that a lot.
I'm like, look, I said, why are you caught up in your feelings? Because my thing is like this. I don't agree with my wife 100%. And did something pop up on the screen?
No, not for me.
Oh, okay. Hold up. It's but we're gonna take a quick break. I have a technical difficulty, but we're gonna take a quick break and we'll be right back. All right. So we're back. So, but like I said before, we have some elected officials that get caught up in their feelings because you don't agree with them 100%. And my thing is, why? You know, and it's one thing I do appreciate about you is that we've had our discussions where we respectfully agreed to disagree, and we put all our energy in those things we agree with.
Exactly.
And that's all I can ask from any candidate. I don't care who you are. That's all I can ask. Yeah. So let me bring up your platform again. Hold up for a second.
While you're doing that, I'll even just add on that. You're definitely right. I mean, if you have a candidate or someone in office who you agree 100% with for everything, I think you need to take a pause for a second and look, is it the ideas you're agreeing with, or is it that person's personality who you like as well? And I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah. You know what? You hit a key point, and didn't think about that, but person, or what is it that elected official can do for me?
There you go.
In my political aspirations or my business aspirations versus what is it that we can do for the community? So exactly. Your next one, we talk about education. And well, as we know that education receives the largest pot of money when it comes to our tax dollars. During one of my other interviews, we had a fundamental disagreement. When you talk about, and when I look at here, I agree with everything, up-to-date infrastructure, security systems, they increase health workers. The problem that I had is that even if you have 1 or 2 mental health providers or health workers in school, during a normal day, that is still not going to address the issues, because literally one mental health provider could spend all day on one child.
Yeah.
And the reason I say there's not enough time in the day, because we're more focused on academics. There's no social skills, conflict resolution. So I don't know too much of what the commissioners can do on this part. Because when the budget is submitted, you pretty much can say, how much control or input do you think you will have when it comes to these things that you would like to see included in the budget from the superintendent who submits?
Okay. Yeah, I would say, and that's where it comes to having really good communication with the school board members and the superintendent as well. That's why, aside from politics, I've been talking with multiple school board candidates, just wanting to like learn more about them, what their thoughts on things are, because whoever winds up being in office in the board, I want to know, like, I want to have a basis of communication already. So when it comes to things like updating infrastructure, updating security, and adding mental health workers within the school itself, I know that I know whoever is in office, we've already had conversations about this, so we have a base to work on. But to your point about the mental health workers, I think it's crucial to have that inside the school, but also outside the school as well, having mediation and counseling and conflict resolutions, because I think it's pretty. No, we all know none of the recent incidents that we've seen in the school is happening just in the school. These are problems that have happened way before probably school started. That happened outside, outside at the bus stops, at people's houses. So being able to have an area in the county so people can go to and say, hey, this kid and this kid, we're having problems. All right, let's sit down, even if we're outside the school, and talk about it and figure out how to stop it from progressing to a big incident.
Well, some of it stems with, is my opinion, Charles County's lack of restorative practices, because they have a very small portion that they actually use, but they don't really use restorative practices and to fidelity. They just don't. And some of that may be to the lack of training. It may be to the lack of teachers, or a combination of both. So when you look at, and it kind of, and I've heard it on the progressive end where they talk about the school to prison pipeline.
Yeah.
Part of that I agree with, and part of I don't, only because I've been in the school system. And it gets into, you talk about modern security systems, but we also talk about the need to have student resource officers in school. And the reason I say that is because I've been somebody who's been there and seen the work that they've done. And if there's a bad apple, you get rid of it. So what is your take on when we talk about school safety and we talk about the school to prison pipeline? What is your take on it?
Yeah, I definitely think, well, one, we do need school security and we need school safety. As far as SROs go, I'm definitely looking at that from a sense of, I don't think we should have anyone in the school full time who's seen as their job is to just arrest students, especially when you have students being arrested for like classroom disruption or like little minor things like taking a bag of chips and you're being arrested or even handcuffed in situations like that.
But you do know the percentage of kids that are being arrested in Charles County it's not even 1%. Now,
it is
most of them are of color.
Yeah.
But you have to look at the school, like Westlake. Westlake is probably 80% African American.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be surprised if that's the stat. I'm just not, because it's 80%. So
no, I definitely get you. I definitely get you on that side. I think we need to also look whether it's, even if it's a small percentage of it, I would hate to like kind of dismiss it as, well, it's maybe like 1% of students. Well, that's still 1% of students who are being affected by this and being arrested, when it's ways that we can kind of help them without going to the extent of you're handcuffed, we're parading you through the cafeteria to call your parents.
Yeah, I agree. I'm saying in some cases it's justified, in some cases it is. But
it's definitely, everything has to be looked at a case by case basis. Definitely.
All right, so let's get into our youth. And definitely plays a role in, because whether or not people want to accept it or not, our youth are 100%, they're going to be 100% of our population, meaning that myself, I'm going to die off. Our youth, they're going to become, and they're going to be the leaders.
Yeah.
So we talked about the need for activities and robust activities and educational programs for them to do. How can Charles County government play that role?
Yeah, I think Charles County government can play a huge role, even going from like paid internship summer programs for youth, being able to engage youth in multiple ways. So it's not just okay, you go to school and once you're out of school, that's it. Being able to have recreational activities for them, being able to have something stimulating and let them see themselves in the county as well. I mean, it's so many young people who could get involved in the summer work program and figure out, hey, I like HVAC systems. Hey, I like parks and rec, and open up their own businesses later on. Be able to go to having certificates. Like it's so many things that the county we can do to actually kind of invigorate ourselves, and that even goes into the next topic is transportation, making sure that people are able to get to these internships and programs and things like that as well.
Okay. And your next one's transportation. It's funny that you have Van Gogh on there because I did see something, I guess, a couple days ago where they're offering a free Van Gogh for.
It's been free for some months now.
Yeah. So I'm be honest with you, I've never used Van Gogh only because I have a vehicle. But but I am aware that there's a lot of people that don't have vehicles. So I definitely agree with this. How much we can expand on it, that I do not know. I don't think it's going to be to the point to where you would be like in DC or PG where you would have, but I don't know how aware people are that Van Gogh exists.
Yeah, and I think, go ahead, I'm sorry.
So that, my thing is, do you feel that the county can do a better job with making people aware of Van Gogh and where the stops? Because I don't, be honest with you, I've been here since 2006. I don't know where all the stops are at. I just happen to see people like, why are they standing outside?
Right. Like somebody waiting for somebody to pick them up or something?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So
no, I definitely get you.
What do you feel that it can do better?
Yeah, I think a multitude of things. To your point, yes, alerting people to know where their stops are as within their own neighborhood, within the city of Waldorf, and past that. I think letting people know that Van Gogh is free to use right now, because there's a lot of residents who do not know that at all. There was no mailers going out to people. There was no kind of, other than the one Facebook page for Charles County government, you didn't see a host of like sponsored ads put up by the Charles County government. You don't see really signs out there. Increasing the number of stops, because hey, before I graduated high school, I was looking at working in a Waldorf for like part-time job to make some money before going to college, and to get from where I live right off of 228 to the mall, it would take about like an hour with the way stops are. It is not, Van Gogh is not really as accessible. Hour? Yes. With the number of stops and the route to go, right? You might as well walk. And even, okay, so I actually addressed the walking part in like 2 seconds, but even increasing the number of stops, especially in Waldorf itself, so you can have more people access things, increasing just like public information about Van Gogh, doing all of these things will actually improve Van Gogh. But to your point about walking, the problem is too that it's not safe in Waldorf to really walk, because on 228, there's no kind of sidewalks really. You don't have streetlights like you should. You don't have bike lanes like you should. I mean, for Waldorf to be as big as it is, and going back, our public infrastructure just is not cutting it. People should be able to just, if they want to get out and walk down to the downtown part of Waldorf, they should be able to do so without fear of their safety.
Yeah, and this is probably, it is frustrating because I've been in a lot of cities in Maryland who make it friendly, bike friendly, based on the population, and they've had years to do this. Don't know why it hasn't been done, but it just hasn't been done.
We add onto Van Gogh and make it more walkable. You'll have less cars on the road, so you have less traffic congestion as well.
Yeah, it's true. So Well, we're gonna skip criminal justice reform. We'll come back to it because
Okay.
we want to go to environment, and then we'll get into the other thing. So,
Okay, cool.
and I'll be honest, because I live in Waldorf, I don't really get out there and see and the effects of everything that goes on. I have been out to Indian Head and used the bike trail, and I see the beauty. Charles County has a lot of beautiful things, and I do agree that we have to do our best to protect the environment. What is that you feel that we can build on or need to do, as a county government and as well as a community to help out the environment?
Yeah, I'll say as part of the government is changing all of the gas powered Van Gogh buses into electric buses, not having changing all of our our publicly owned vehicles electric, making sure that we invest in cleaning up the not just the Chesapeake Bay, but the river near Indian Head or down by Cobb Island area. Because I'll say this on Indian Head, you have these large, huge yearly bass fishing tournaments, and they've had fishermen and women who fish as well saying if there isn't some kind of cleaning up of like Mattawoman Creek area, you are going to have issues later on down the road where these big tournaments aren't happening. And those tournaments, if structured a certain way, can be a really big economic investment for the western part of the county. And we can invest in kind of my mindset of it is if we invest in the environmental as tourism in the western part of the county, like the Nanjemoy area, because when I was in I want to say fifth grade, we did our kind of environmental field trip to the Nanjemoy camping ground, wetlands part, where you can have so many people from major metropolitan areas like DC, Alexandria, Arlington come vacation on the western part of the county, spend their money here, tax resources, and all that to have some kind of get away from the city life and go into more of a more environmental area.
Okay. Well, I think the other thing that could help overall, especially when we talk about energy, is the government buildings. And I don't know offhand if they could invest in solar panels, because I know from military bases, there's a lot of use of solar panels. I've been to Baltimore County, I think Howard and Arundel, all their community colleges have solar panels. Some of the school, I don't know if the schools do, but they're investing in solar panels to try, one, to save the environment and to
save money in the long term.
Decrease. Remember, because you end up decreasing your energy bill by doing
save
that
money in the long term with that. Definitely.
Yeah. So I don't know what the ties are with SMECO, but and I'm like, look, SMECO's developing some solar panels. We need to come up with different ways. And and last thing we're going to do is criminal justice reform. But the broadband internet, I know that they have been working tirelessly to bring that in. So I do applaud the commissioners as a whole. I know particularly one commissioner that because of the area in which he lives in, I know the broadband is not there. But it's glad to know that you're looking to basically assist with more broadband internet capability.
Definitely. And I'll just say to that real quick. I mean, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense in 2022 we have areas that do not have high-speed broadband at all. I mean, when the pandemic was at its height, we saw unless you have some connectivity to Wi-Fi or broadband or anything, you're kind of left in the dark.
Yeah, that is true.
And having those little, like, it was good for the kind of a quick fix to have those kind of satellite areas like parking lots of like schools and stuff to have Wi-Fi there. But the problem is, what do you do when it is like 15 degrees outside? Are you going to have people sitting in their cars like with the car just running, or are you going to have, or when it's 100 degrees outside, use the steel? And then also you got to factor in parents have to take off of work to take their kids there. You have to also figure out that environmentally, that's not good to just have your car running in the car in the maintenance on that.
Yeah, that was a very, when, we had the COVID and we had these hot spots, and I was sitting there like, what? And, because I'm not accustomed to it. Yeah. As a resident, I'm not accustomed to it. And that is a little disheartening. And the accessibility is just simply not there. And once again, for a county that most residents pay a lot of money when it comes to property taxes, this is something that should be a non-issue.
You're right.
Really should be a non-issue. So we're gonna partly close with the criminal justice reform. And the reason that we're probably both smiling, because he know that we're gonna have some disagreements. And the way I look at it, yes, we do need criminal justice reform, but it's not just with our officers. It's with the judges. It's with the lawmakers and how they make laws. It's with our prison system. There's a lot of factors that come in. Now, when I look at Charles County, in my personal opinion, I think that we are creating problems that don't exist. And when I mean don't exist, I mean exist to the extreme to where you see it in other counties. Because I've been here since 2006. Under our current leadership with the sheriff, everything is public information. And I know for a fact there's been organizations that requested information, that information was given, and then they shut up because they realized whatever they said was wrong, or it's there. So to say that we need intensive criminal justice reform, I think is a little bit premature. And I don't know of any cases, and I could be wrong, where there's been an officer that's used excessive force and that officer has not contacted the law. Do you know of any cases in Charles County? That I don't know.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's where I have made issue with this, because I see the need, but my thing is it doesn't exist here.
Okay. I understand
do we need to invest in mental rehabilitation programs? Yes, but those are things that they already do. The Citizens Police Academy, I've attended it. It's very, very helpful, useful, because we get the opportunity to talk about some things that you haven't here, so they can hear our insight, but also hear it from there. So my question to you is, because I know it's going to come up, whether it's SROs, whether it's criminal, prison to school pipeline, accountability for police officers. What is it as a commissioner that you can do to ensure that we have an open and positive and proactive relationship with our law enforcement? Versus, to me, there's been too much, for even from the delicate side. It's like you're beating up the person who's trying to help, but they only can do things based on the law. Sheriff Department don't create the laws. They enforce.
I think going off of that, we definitely do need like more lines of public communication with the sheriff's department, because you do have people who have certain issues with how the sheriff department is doing X, Y, and Z, and you have a lot of people who do not feel like that open communication, be able to talk with them about problems. But actually, I'll go back to the part about the mandatory duty to intervene, is where that, in my mind, is, do we have a particular problem in Charles County at the moment? No, but I want to also bring up policies that are going to stop any of these things from happening in the future as well. So having that, to make sure that you're not having an officer, if you have an officer who's just standing there watching another officer like use excessive force, it should be something on the books to say, you're going to be implicated with them, or you're going to actually do your job and stop them from doing that. And I'll even go on another policy that I'm also pushing for criminal justice reform is, I kind of call it like contact tracing for officers. If there's an officer who is, their job is like training people, and they use excessive force or brutalize someone, going back and looking at who have they trained, and are they exhibiting those same types of behaviors and correcting it there as well. So we're not just saying, yes, it may be just that one bad apple, but how many people have they trained to do those same exact things as well?
Okay, well, yeah, I can see that. From that point of view, I can see you just want to more or less have policy in place in case it happens.
Yes, that's the big thing.
Versus saying it, because I think what can be misleading is people think it's actually happening, and it isn't.
Okay, I understand where you're coming from.
That's the way I would look at it. And, you know, it's not happening. I don't see nothing with strengthening the policy to ensure these things don't happen. Yeah. But I think for any candidate, regardless of what their issues are or not with law enforcement, is to ensure that we're not feeding into something that's not there based on what's happened nationally. And I see that a lot in Charles County. Not you per se, but I see it a lot. I see it a lot in Charles County. And real quick, in terms of the accessibility for our sheriff, he's very accessible. What I found out is people don't even call to say, hey, can I get an appointment? Because I asked the sheriff, they people ain't called me one time. So I'm thinking, well, if you haven't called them, then how can you complain about it? Now, I don't know if you called them or not.
Yeah. I would say to that aspect as well, it's not just, I don't want to always put it on the residents or like advocates. It's a different circumstance, but as far as residents concerned, I think we can't just look at the residents contacting the sheriff's department. It would be nice if the sheriff's department had, or the sheriff had a bi-weekly or monthly community forums, and they publish it out to residents to say, hey, come with your issues, your thoughts, your concerns, and then we'll address it here as well, and we'll follow up with you offline as well.
But they do have those from time to time, but keep in mind that this is a 24/7, 365 job. And when there are things going on, like there's a homicide, okay, guess what? Got to go.
No, yeah, I understand for that part, yeah.
So it's my thing, these things do occur. They just might not occur in the way in which people want them to occur.
Yeah.
But I will say that, not defending him, but he is accessible. Okay. If he isn't, then, you know, leadership under him is accessible. There's different ways to be involved, whether it's through, I think, the county government academy or whatever it's called, Citizens Academy, and you also have the Citizens Police Academy. So there's ways to really get involved and get engaged. So with that, we're going to wrap up. But what I want to do, I do this word association. So I throw a word out there, in about 10 seconds, you tell me what you think of it. So I'll give you an example. I'll say, okay, campaign canvassing.
Fun.
Okay. So I'm going to give you about 7 words and pretty much tell me, you know, what you feel about it.
Oh,
cool. Charles County Mall.
Needs help.
Okay. Tourism.
Lacking.
And it can be more than one word too.
Oh, okay. Lacking. Okay, good. I was like, all right, cool. How do we do this? I think I would say for that, lacking. We do not have the amount of tourism that we should have coming into the county.
Okay. What's it called? Downtown district or Waldorf district, whatever it's going to be called.
Needs updating in public infrastructure badly.
Okay. Indian Head.
Needs support economically in economic development.
What is that place called? It's closing down near the bridge. That plant. What is it called? It's an energy plant or something.
Yeah.
I forgot what it's called. It's closing up.
I'm trying to think of the actual name of it.
We'll skip over that. I can't remember. Right, cool. Transportation. Public transport. Well, commuter. Well, let me go. Commuters.
Need more jobs in the county, so less people have to commute out.
Okay. What's that? 5? I have 7. What's the next one? Here's a good one. Your platform.
That's a good one. progressive, and the base of it is to raise the standard of living for all Charles County residents.
Okay. And then the last one, municipality.
We need one for Waldorf.
Okay. So, well, I definitely think, and notice those are word associations. We just don't have enough time to go into great detail, but hopefully I have you back on at some point, and we'll discuss one or two of those, well, 2 or 3 of those items. But let me just real quick let everybody see. This is Carlos. Wait a minute, this wasn't it. The one I looked at.
Which one?
Okay, there we go. All right, so this is Carlos's webpage. It's carloschilds.com. So if you want to learn more about his platform, participate, donate, or whatever it may be, this is how you get in contact with him. Also, what's your email address?
info@carloschilds.com. Really simple.
So that's
carloschilds.com. info@carloschilds.com.
All right, there you go. All right. I'm messing it up.
No, you're good. You're good. Can I actually say one thing, which you mentioned the donations. If you're able to donate, please do. We do not take any money from developers, or corporate lobbyists at all.
Okay, you heard that. Now, me personally, I'm like, look, you donate, you know my platform. Well, I'm not running, but you know my platform. It is what it is. So you ain't buying me, you buying my platform. That is me. But
I get you.
All right. Well, definitely appreciate you being on the show. Good luck with everything.
Thank you.
And
thanks for what you're doing here.
Hey, I'm just trying to get back the best way I can, but I definitely will see you on the campaign trail somewhere. I believe you knocked on my door. Yeah, you did.
Yeah, we had I knocked on your door.
Yeah.
I'll be coming to a door nearest you soon, everybody watching.
Yeah, door near you. So, with that, we definitely appreciate it. And until then, y'all, peace and blessings.
Peace and blessings.
All right. Once again, I'd like to thank Carlos Childs for being on the show. He is running for Charles County Commissioner, District 3, which is the district I live in. So definitely appreciate him being on. As you can see, hey, we didn't agree with everything, but my thing is agree to disagree. And that's what I appreciate about him, as well as any other candidate who wants to be on to discuss their platform, because that's what it's about. Educating yourself, educating the voters. And at the end of the day, you got to make a choice. I'd rather you make a choice based on, their platform and what you agree with versus a personality, whatever it may be. But until then, I got to go. Peace and blessings.